Time to get geeked up.
Now, like I was saying, we're talking about the Spike Lee just releasing the poster for his movie today, and I was joking around how it didn't really give much away. It got us thinking that you think movie posters, and I'm going to even go as far as to say, like, certain album covers. There's just some certain great ones that, like, when you think album cover or movie poster, it, like, pops up in your head.
For sure.
Some of just the greatest that just really sell the movie or the album. I mean, I guess I'll go first. So I guess what we'll be taking a closer look at is movie posters and best movie posters and album covers throughout the years.
Movie posters and album artwork. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'll kick it off first and just say I think there's going to be no surprise where I'm going to go with here because you guys know me. But we're going to definitely start off with Star Wars posters. I mean,
all right, now which one? Are we talking New Hope, or are we talking...
back from the very original one where it's like him holding Luke Skywalker, holding the lightsaber up, Leia like wrapped around his leg.
Yep.
It's just like this epic, I think Vader's head is in the background in the sky. It's just this epic, like, so much going on in this movie poster. And
for sure.
Like, what the hell is this crazy movie? But then throughout the years, every Star Wars movie that's come out since then, a big thing has been like the official poster release of the movie. It was just like, because they're all known for just being like these crazy, elaborate, over the top, like showing so much action and just
much like
shots.
Everything in Star Wars, but definitely adding to the whole fan experience,
with
though.
The movies themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of the Star Wars one too, another really epic thing if you want to go down that rabbit hole is look at that movie poster from like other countries and like the Star Wars one from like other countries. Some of them are like crazy. Like the Russian one is really interesting. I know the Chinese one is pretty like just bonkers.
Yeah. No, that is definitely a fun thing to do with movie posters, though. Look at the other countries. All other countries have different, movie posters, which are usually somewhat similar. They'll maybe take like one of the elements of it and then kind of play around with it, but sometimes just totally different, color schemes and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I guess if for my first movie poster, I'm actually gonna, I guess, throw you a bone as of course I'm gonna kick it to the 90s, but and of course one of both of our favorite directors, but I feel definitely one of the more all-time iconic movie posters, and definitely one of the more like purchased movie posters that I've ever seen anyway. But of course the Pulp Fiction movie poster.
Oh, for sure.
Uma Thurman smoking a cig, feet up in the air, smoking a cig on the bed.
Yeah, right. How surprising is it that she's wearing shoes in that poster too, and she's not barefoot? Knowing what we know about Tarantino now.
Yeah.
Love of the feet. She's wearing high heels in the picture, but you'd expect a barefoot. But she's got the gun in front of her. She's smoking a cigarette. She's reading a pulp comic.
Yeah, reading the pulp comics. Yeah, that's like definitely one of the. That's definitely one of the ones that you'll see most, like in people's, dorms and man caves and whatnot,
For sure. I guess another one that I would say, and just kind of sticking with just my Star Wars thing is, but I would say like Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of has that same Star Wars feel, where it's like Harrison Ford in the middle, like with the giant whip and the classic hat, and then like all the characters from the film like spread out around the background, like this epic kind of like comic book drawing, if you will.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely has the same Star Wars kind of feel as well. It's got like a pretty identifiable like type lettering to it. You know what I mean? Like the classic Indiana Jones font is pretty like recognizable and synonymous.
Yeah,
with
the like orange and yellow letters.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, and. I mean, I guess kind of that's where one of the things where I go with these movie posters are kind of like that font. You can kind of like, see that kind of recreated and know that you're doing like an indie spoof. All right. There are other kind of movie posters that are just like kind of iconic just for like almost being parodied. You'd see this a lot with Scarface, where there's not like a rapper that hasn't like at least done a photo shoot with the half black, half white side, you know what I mean? But that whole just iconic poster has been like parodied a lot,
For sure. Absolutely. That's such a good point. I guess kind of jump around too. I'll go stick with your '90s thing, but I'll jump over. I'm going to come back to the movies, but I want to jump over to album covers for a little bit. And just when we were talking about this, I don't know about you, but the first thing that popped in my head, just because, I don't know, to me, it's such an iconic album cover.
Should we say it on the count of three?
1, 2, 3, Nirvana.
Never mind.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I was gonna go with the Weird Al version for the gag because equally iconic is the Weird Al wearing boxers. But of course, you want to give the peeps the Nevermind your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a crazy album cover. You know what I mean? Just the naked baby swimming underneath the pool.
Yeah, little Dickie flopping in the pool. I mean,
but like, yeah, but you think? I mean, I think album cover. That's right where my head goes to. Like,
for sure.
all the time.
And I guess that one does kind of pair off with the fact that it has it is as well one of like the most iconic albums itself. You know what I mean? Like, especially just definitive of the 90s, like that actual like music side of the album was like such a revolutionary like culture shock, and the album cover definitely went totally along with it, with just like the shock value, but still just like forever cemented in your head, synonymous with Nirvana is that one image of the baby floating.
Absolutely.
Even the In Utero logo was somewhat, iconic, but the baby and the Weird Al version, a close second to the Weird Al version. I'm going to throw you another iconic 90s one from a couple years after Nevermind, but from an album that was, pretty iconic for the 90s as well. But the Dookie album cover was always,
wow, like, man, I had that on my list too.
Okay, yeah, like the bomb dropping over the cartoon town, but that was a very, just recognizable with the band and with the 90s,
There's a lot going on in that picture too, man. It's like a Where's Waldo page. You know?
yeah, no, for sure.
There's like all the cast. There's like dogs throwing poop. Well, it's Dookie, so there's a lot of poop.
A lot of poop references going down.
Yeah. That's one of the first albums I ever got taken away from me was Dookie, just because it was one of the first like parental advisory ones. Because of,
interesting.
Forget the song, but masturbation's lost its mind. It's fucking great. When my mom heard that, I was like, "Oh, we're getting rid of this one." Another album cover.
I mean, just to go along with that, even real quick, but just the fact that the name of the album was shit. You know what I mean? That people didn't like. That was kind of the first time people had heard that term or whatever. But then once you put two and two together, it was already too late. Like my mom already bought the album by the time she 2020 ran the story about what the kids were doing.
Another album that got taken away from me. I'm gonna mention this one too, just because based solely on the album cover. Like, my mom didn't even hear the album. She just saw the cover. I think I might even talk about this on mic before, too, but she saw the cover and was like, I don't know what's going on in that album, but you're not listening to it. Would be the second DMX album, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood.
Okay,
where
interesting,
it's
yes.
just a plain white background. It's him standing in the middle shirtless with his arms out, and then just like buckets of blood being poured over.
Yeah, it's like a crucifixion, white backdrop with like a crucifixion thing going. DMX being crucified,
covered in blood. And so, based on appearance alone, that's another album cover I think of all the time. And then my mom took that one away, and she wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to what was on that album.
I kind of have a similar story, but another iconic album, but Doggy Style from the 90s. But I ended up having to buy like a copy of that off of my friend or something, or I traded my friend's CD, but I ended up getting a copy of my friend's Doggy Style, but he had to, in order to pass by his mom, he needed to like take a black marker and like edit himself and like draw things on and like scribble things out, but like he like artistic influenced the Doggy Style album cover himself to like make it pass mustard by his mom. And then what I did, I actually flipped it inside out. And if you remember, there was like a sick picture of like, it was like a mugshot style picture of Snoop that I rocked as because the original was like him sniffing a dog's ass. It was there's weed leaves on there. It was your mom. Your mom wouldn't like it for an 11-year-old boy or whatever we were.
Yeah. Yeah, but that is a classic album too, man. Just that album cover and like the cartoon dog. Yeah, you're right, sticking his head in like the doghouse. I think smelling some dog's head.
I mean, a lot of classic rap ones. I guess another, but just the baby with an afro is just like immediately identifiable for Ready to Die and for with Biggie. You know, a lot of the Tribe Called Quest had some, like, you know, the Tribe Called Quest, you know, caricature is like an iconic logo identified to the band.
For
I guess
sure.
the Beastie
Wu-Tang
Boys
album,
are another one of those.
miss.
Yes, Wu-Tang has like the all-time classic logo, I guess. Maybe to hop it back into the movies, but kind of for the Wu-Tang logo, I always kind of looked at that as like the Godfather logo. You know what I mean? The marionette puppet thing that is like...
Little marionette puppet thing.
Yes, and the Godfather's another one. I guess there's even like a couple of different Godfather posters, or, you know, that's just like an iconic recreation that's not necessarily the poster. You know, the marionette strings is on the poster, but it's kind of like outgrowing the poster itself, just the logo and the iconic, you know, just all you need is that marionette thing.
The poster is the marionette holding the Godfather logo, but then the actual picture on the poster is just him holding a cat.
Who, Brando just holding a cat?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's one that there's been a couple, because there's another, I think, interpretation where like the probably when they re-released it or whatnot, but there's like a white and gold one. The most recent time I watched it, it was like there was that was the cover, but I think that's had a couple of different, you know, recreations over the years.
For sure. And if you're talking just straight logo, because that's another classic one too, and I'm thinking of three just off the top of my head, who's like, it's just the logo of the movie against like the black background. And I would say like Michael Keaton's Batman, the Tim Burton one from like 89, I think, when it came out. It's just the Batman logo.
For sure.
Jurassic Park, of course, is just the Jurassic Park logo.
Okay, great call. That's definitely one that you could be, you know, if you recreated that one, you would boom Jurassic Park, you know.
Yeah, I think Weird Al recreated that one too.
You know, you're right. What song from Jurassic Park did he do? Fucking.
Jurassic Park is frightening in the dark. All the dinosaurs are running wild.
Nice. All right, still taking those episode 10 emails, y'all, but Barnes is really sewing this one. Swag points
but then
through the roof.
The ultimate one, just logo-wise, is you got to think Ghostbusters.
Oh, wow, yes, great call. I know that was the logo. That was the movie poster, though, I guess, for all those. Okay, that's what you're saying. Those were the movie posters for all those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, great call. No, the Ghostbusters is just an iconic logo for sure. I guess another big logo kind of thing in the music world, I guess, but like the all very similar to like the Rolling Stones mouth with a tongue coming out, you know.
Sure, of course.
Which I don't know, like Let It Bleed and Sticky Fingers both have pretty iconic albums. Like I don't think that mouth, I'm not sure if the what album the mouth was actually, but that's pretty much like the Stones logo. Same thing with the Grateful Dead, have like, you know, the Steal Your Face logo, and a lot of other just iconic, you know, turtles and bears and like logos and things that are identified with the band that aren't necessarily directly from an album cover, you know?
For sure. I would say one that is like kind of like a logo, but it is only from one album cover, would be The Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd, with just a triangle in the middle and like a rainbow coming out on the right side.
Yep. That one as well always reminded me actually of a movie iconic poster from the same era, but Clockwork Orange with the triangle guy shooting pool in the middle. Always kind of, you know, reminded me of the same thing as like the Dark Side triangle rainbow coming out of it thing.
Well, I was going to say that too. Is he shooting pool? I was thinking about that today, and I was like looking it up. I think he's like holding out like a knife or a stick, but it always looks like he's shooting pool.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it would make more sense that he's going to like shoot a pool cue into somebody's face or whatever, but like.
Yeah, no, it never happens. Like, I was thinking about that today because I was thinking about that movie poster, and I was like, oh yeah, he's out there like shooting pool, and I was like, wait a second, I don't think he is shooting pool. I think he's just holding his beating stick in like that kind of like direction.
And then I've got another actual kind of logo kind of thing from a movie, but the Fight Club bar of soap. You know, him holding the soap up. That would be like if you saw, if you see a T-shirt with the soap, something carved in a soap thing, you would know that it's a play on the Fight Club movie poster. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, even I think Full Metal Jacket has the helmet. In the middle
great call.
With like the Born to Kill Army helmet in the middle, which I think has been spoofed here and there. But it's another one, like if you just showed me that, I would know exactly what movie it is without like the title on the poster.
Yeah, another one like that, I guess. And from a movie that, like, I don't think I've seen, and if I saw it, it was like way in the 90s when I was younger. But Silence of the Lambs, like the black and white poster with the colorful butterfly over the mouth.
100%.
Just like, and again, just growing up in the 90s, there was that. I'm sure Weird Al had that one stuck somewhere because that was a very.
yeah. Here's one that's been spoofed a lot, and I'm not sure. I might be wrong on this one, so this might be some ALW whack shit here. It might just be a poster of an artist, but I think it is the album cover. But what about the one with the topless Janet Jackson with the hands holding her boobs? Oh,
great call. Yeah, I think that was actually a Rolling Stone magazine cover, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, okay.
But it might have been a Janet Jackson album. But yeah, that's a great call.
The album cover or not, but it's definitely one of those iconic pictures where like you would see it everywhere. Definitely one of those back posters in the back of Spencer's. Or,
yes.
But you've seen it spoofed like a million times too. I'm sure maybe even Weird Al.
I guess a couple like that I'll get to that I did have on the list, but not actually the movie poster, but iconic posters from a movie, right? See what I did there?
Okay.
But very iconic, like college dorm posters. Definitely on sale at the back of Spencer's, like you said. But and I make fun of this first one a lot. But Belushi crushing the bottle of Jack in the college sweater. All right.
For sure. Okay.
And I guess the Animal House even movie poster is kind of epic itself, the cartoon National Lampoon thing there. And then as well, lots of like I actually have a poster of Travis Bickle holding the guns out from Taxi Driver, and like a lot of, De Niro with the gun out looking all crazy posters. However, not the movie poster itself. He's kind of just standing there looking stupid,
Well, for sure. Like you said it before too, but also like Scarface. There's like 100 different, not maybe just a poster from the movie, but like 100 different posters of him in some different, hilarious, either holding the machine gun or sitting in front of the mountain of cocaine.
Definitely. Great call.
Laying in the bathtub, watching the Pelicans.
Fly Pelicans.
I guess for me, I was going to say, just go back to movie posters too, the actual poster. And, I don't know if you have another one, but for me, I would say the most epic, and I think it's pretty like thought about too, like the most maybe epic movie poster of all time. But it would have to be the Jaws movie poster of the lady swimming on top of the water and like the giant shark coming up like about to eat her.
Yep, I had it on the list for sure. Like you said, just the huge shark compared to the small lady floating above, and definitely nailed the fear of a great white shark in that picture, know.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that movie that was just like such a change, like people were afraid of the water after it really just sums up what this movie's going to be about. Just one quick clip.
Maybe you'll end it there with your iconic movie poster. Maybe I'll, on the other hand, end it with the iconic album cover. But I guess, and again, talking about recreation, even in one of the more recent Netflix and chats, where one of the many Halloween costumes that got recreated was the Sgt. Pepper album cover from the Beatles, of course. Same thing with Abbey Road. It's, you could kind of go either way, them crossing the street, or but the whole Sgt. Pepper album cover is definitely like, just beyond synonymous with the band. land in something that you could recreate 1,000 times or put in 1,000 different, interpretations, and it would immediately come back to Sgt. Pepper. Just really.
That's funny too, man, because you say Sgt. Pepper and you said Abbey Road, but I would think Abbey Road would be the more iconic Beatles poster of the four of them just walking the street. You've seen that a million times.
Yes. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, either or, I suppose. You're right, that probably them crossing the street, but the Sgt. Pepper just, costumes and all that, portrait, the whole thing.
Yeah, that comes wild, man. Yeah, you're right. There is a lot going on in that album. It almost looks like the Muppet Show poster. There's just so much going on.
Ooh, baby, it's time to get geeked up.